The fluorescent lights of Chicago Memorial Hospital's pediatric wing flickered at 2:47 a.m., casting shadows across the nursing station where Elena Rodriguez sat hunched over patient charts, her third double shift this week. 28 years old, perpetually exhausted, drowning in student loan debt from a nursing degree that promised opportunity but delivered minimum wage and maximum heartbreak. She should have been immune to loss by now. 5 years in pediatric nursing should have built calluses over her heart. But every child's face reminded her of Sofia, her younger sister who died at 7 because an overworked resident missed the signs of bacterial meningitis. The guilt was why she stayed, why she picked up extra shifts nobody wanted, why she fought for the children everyone else had given up on. The elevator chimed. Elena looked up as the doors slid open, revealing 4 men in expensive suits, their eyes scanning with professional precision. Security, but not hospital security. These men moved like soldiers, their jackets cut to conceal weapons. Behind them came a man who commanded space simply by existing. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Elena's monthly rent. Dark hair silvered at the temples, a jaw carved from granite, eyes that swept the pediatric wing with calculated intensity. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. In his arms, he carried a small girl, maybe 5 years old, with long dark curls and a white dress. The child's face was buried against his shoulder, small hands clutching his shirt with desperate strength. Elena stood slowly, her nurse's training overriding apprehension. "Can I help you? Visiting hours are over, and this floor is restricted after 9 p.m. The man's eyes found hers, dark and unreadable. When he spoke, his voice was surprisingly soft. "My daughter needs a doctor. Now. Is she injured?" Elena moved closer, her professional assessment cataloging details. "She won't speak," he said, the words rough. "Hasn't spoken in 18 months. I've taken her to specialists everywhere, the best doctors money can buy. They all say the same thing: there's no physical reason. The trauma is too deep." Elena's eyes softened. "What's her name?" "Julia. And yours?" A pause. Dante Moretti. The name meant nothing to Elena, who spent her life inside hospital walls, but she saw his security team tense, saw the brief flicker of surprise when she showed no reaction. "Mr. Moretti, I'm Elena Rodriguez, a pediatric nurse. If Julia needs medical attention, I can have the on-call physician here in 5 minutes. But I need to understand what's happening. Has something occurred tonight?" Dante's jaw tightened. She had a nightmare about her mother. She always has them, but tonight she was screaming, but no sound came out. Just awful silence, her mouth open. He couldn't finish. Elena saw the crack in his armor, the father beneath the dangerous man. "Okay," Elena said gently. "Let's go to the family consultation room. It's quiet, private, we can talk there." The consultation room was designed for delivering bad news. Soft lighting, comfortable chairs, toys meant to distract children from terrible conversations. Dante sat still, holding Julia, who hadn't moved, remained pressed against him like he was the only safe thing. "Can your men wait outside?" Elena asked carefully. Children respond better without intimidating presences. One guard started to object, but Dante silenced him with a look. "Vincent, everyone outside." When alone, Elena pulled a chair closer, sitting at eye level with Julia. "Hi, sweetheart. My name is Elena. I work here helping kids feel better. Your daddy says you had a scary dream. Those are the worst, aren't they?" No response. Julia's face remained hidden. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Sometimes words are hard. Sometimes they get stuck. I understand that." Slowly, Julia's head turned just enough for one dark eye to peek out, studying Elena with cautious curiosity. Elena smiled. "I had a little sister named Sofia. She had nightmares sometimes, too. I used to tell her that dreams can't hurt us, but I know they feel real and scary. Is that what happened tonight?" Julia's small hand emerged, pointing to her throat, then making a gesture like something breaking apart. "Your voice broke?" Elena interpreted gently. "Or your words broke?" The child nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. Dante's composure cracked. "Please," he said, voice raw. "Every doctor tells me time, patience, therapy, but it's been 18 months of silence. 18 months of watching my daughter disappear. I can't lose her too. Elena felt the weight of that grief. You lost your wife. She was murdered, Dante said flatly. In our home. Julia was there. She saw everything. The police say she's the only witness, but she can't testify. Can't speak a single word about that night or anything else. The room felt heavier. Elena looked at this small girl, carrying a burden no child should bear. Mr. Moretti, I'm not a speech therapist or psychiatrist. I'm a nurse, but I've worked with traumatized children for 5 years. I've seen selective mutism, trauma-induced speech loss. The doctors are right that there's no quick fix. Julia's brain has associated speech with something terrifying. Breaking through that takes time, specialized therapy, and most importantly, trust. I'm offering whatever you need, Dante said immediately. Name your price. I'll pay anything. It's not about money. It's about connection. Julia needs someone who won't give up on her, who understands healing isn't linear, who can sit with her in silence until she's ready to break it. She turned to Julia. Sweetheart, I want to help you find your voice again. Not because doctors say you should talk, but because I think you have things you want to say, and they're trapped inside, and that must feel awful. Julia's small hand reached out, trembling, and touched Elena's cheek. The first voluntary movement she'd made toward anyone but her father. I work here at the hospital, but if your daddy agrees, maybe I could visit you sometimes. Not as a nurse, just as someone who wants to listen, even if listening means sitting quiet together. Would you like that? For the first time, Julia nodded deliberately. Dante's expression transformed into hope and dangerous gratitude. What would you need? To work with her? Elena chose her words carefully. I'd need access to her medical records, consultations with previous therapists. I'd need your cooperation and honesty about her mother's death, about the trauma. No sanitized versions. I can't help if I don't understand what she's carrying. Understood, Dante said without hesitation. I have a job here. Patients who depend on me. I can't abandon them. Keep your position. Work with Julia in your off hours. I'll arrange transportation, security, whatever you need. Security? Something dark crossed Dante's face. My wife was killed because of who I am. Anyone associated with my family becomes a target. If you help Julia, I'll make sure you're protected. What exactly do you do, Mr. Moretti? His eyes held hers. I run a family business in Chicago. Import, export, real estate. You're lying, Elena said quietly. Or not telling the whole truth. Dante's mouth curved slightly. I'm not telling the whole truth because the whole truth would send you running, and my daughter just reached out to you for the first time in 18 months. So I'm being selfish because I'll do anything to help her. Elena looked at Julia, watching her with those huge dark eyes, waiting to see if Elena would give up like all the others. I'll help her, Elena heard herself say. But I need ground rules. I come and go as I please. I'm not intimidated or manipulated, and if I ever feel Julia is in danger because of your world, I walk away. Non-negotiable. Dante extended his hand. You have my word. Elena took it, his grip warm and strong and somehow both comforting and dangerous. She was shaking hands with the devil, making a deal that would change everything. But Julia was smiling now, a small expression that transformed her tear-stained face into something beautiful and breakable and worth fighting for. When do we start? Dante asked. Tomorrow, after my shift ends. 3 p.m. Elena pulled a card from her scrubs, writing her cell number. Text me your address. And Mr. Moretti? Have coffee ready. I'll need it. The Moretti estate in Lincoln Park was a fortress disguised as elegance. High stone walls, security cameras, guards who checked her ID before allowing entry. The house itself was a 3-story brownstone that screamed old money and older secrets. Vincent, the head of security, greeted her. Miss Rodriguez, Mr. Moretti and Julia are in the solarium. The interior was expensive and immaculate, but somehow cold. No scattered toys, no family photos, no comfortable mess suggesting a child lived here. The solarium was different. Glass walls overlooked a private garden, afternoon light streaming through. Julia sat on a window seat, surrounded by picture books she wasn't reading, dressed too formally for a 5-year-old. Dante stood nearby, still in a suit despite being home, watching his daughter with an expression that made Elena's chest ache. Elena, he said, relief evident. Thank you for coming. I said I would. She approached Julia carefully. Hi, sweetheart. Remember me? Elena? Julia nodded, eyes brightening slightly. I brought something. Elena pulled out a notebook and colorful markers. I thought maybe we could draw together. Sometimes pictures say things words can't. She settled on the floor. After hesitation, Julia joined her, close enough their shoulders almost touched. You pick a color, Elena said, spreading markers. Anyone you want. Julia selected purple. Elena took green. Together they began drawing, a quiet activity requiring no words. After 10 minutes, Elena looked at Dante hovering nearby. You don't have to watch. She's safe with me. I haven't seen her relaxed like this in months. Then go do whatever you need to do. We're fine here. After a long moment, Dante nodded and left. When he did, the room felt different, less tense. Julia's shoulders relaxed, her drawing becoming bolder. It's hard when people watch us, isn't it? Elena said quietly. Julia nodded emphatically, then pointed to her drawing. She'd created a house with black windows and a dark figure in the doorway. Then another figure, smaller, hiding. A child watching something scary. Is that you? Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Watching something scary happen? Julia's hand trembled, the marker falling. Tears began sliding down her cheeks. Elena didn't push. She just pulled the small girl into her arms, holding her while she cried without sound. I know it was scary. I know you saw something no one should see, and I know the words are stuck because speaking means remembering, and remembering hurts too much. Julia clung to her, small body shaking. But someday, when you're ready, those words are going to come out, and I'll be right here to catch them, every single one. You won't have to carry them alone anymore. When Julia finally pulled back, her face was streaked with tears, but somehow lighter. She picked up her marker again and drew one more thing. A tiny sun in the corner of her dark picture. Just a small yellow circle, but unmistakably hope. Elena smiled. That's beautiful, sweetheart. That's exactly right. Over 3 weeks, Elena became part of the Moretti household. She visited every afternoon after her hospital shift, working with Julia for 2 hours. The routine was deliberate, drawing pictures, playing games requiring no words, sitting in comfortable silence. Julia began initiating contact, reaching for Elena's hand, showing her things around the house. Slowly, incrementally, the small girl began responding, not with words, but with gestures, expressions, drawings that told stories she couldn't speak. She drew her mother repeatedly, beautiful and smiling. She drew her father, always standing guard. She drew herself, small and silent and trapped behind thick black barriers. Dante watched it all with intensity that made Elena's skin prickle. Always nearby, never intruding but always present. She trusts you, he said one evening as Elena prepared to leave. More than she's trusted anyone since her mother died. Trust takes time, especially when it's been broken as badly as hers has. Elena paused at the door. Mr. Moretti, who killed your wife? His expression shuddered immediately. That's not. Julia saw it happen. Whatever she witnessed is the reason she can't speak. I can't help her process the trauma if I don't understand what it was. Dante was silent for a long moment. Finally he spoke, voice low and controlled. Rival family, the Castellanos. They sent 3 men to our home one night when I was out. My wife Isabella fought them, tried to protect Julia. They killed her in the hallway outside my daughter's bedroom. 5 shots. Julia was hiding in her closet. She saw it all through the slats in the door. Elena's hand went to her mouth. Oh God. The men didn't know she was there. When they left, Julia came out and found her mother. She was covered in blood when I got home, holding her mother's hand, and she hasn't spoken a single word since that night. Did they catch the men who did it? Something dangerous flickered in Dante's eyes. Eventually, yes. The way he said it made Elena's stomach drop. She didn't ask what eventually meant. As Vincent drove Elena home that night, she stared out at Chicago's glittering skyline. Julia had witnessed her mother's murder, had been traumatized in the worst possible way, and her father was a mob boss who'd probably killed the men responsible. She was in deeper than she'd realized, but when she thought of Julia's small hand in hers, of the trust building between them, of the tiny sun the girl had drawn in the corner of her darkness, Elena knew she couldn't walk away. Some children were worth the risk. The breakthrough came on a rainy Thursday afternoon in early October, 6 weeks after Elena had first met Julia. The solarium was darker than usual, gray clouds heavy with autumn rain. Elena had brought modeling clay. They sat side by side, hands working the soft material into shapes. Julia created a series of small figures. A woman with long hair, a man with broad shoulders, a tiny girl, a family, Elena realized. The family Julia had lost. "Your mama was beautiful," Elena said softly. "You must miss her so much." Julia nodded, trembling as she placed the figures. Carefully, the mother and child close together, the father standing apart, protective but distant. "And your papa loves you very much, even when he's busy or worried or doesn't know what to say." Another nod, slower, uncertain. "Sometimes people show love in different ways. My papa worked all the time after my sister Sofia died. I thought he didn't care. But really, he was hurting so much he didn't know how to be with me without falling apart." "Does your papa seem like that sometimes?" Julia's eyes met hers, wide and understanding beyond her years. She reached for more clay, creating something new. A bridge, Elena realized, connecting the father figure to the mother and child. "You want to connect him. You want your family back together, even though your mama's gone." Tears streamed down Julia's face as she worked, small hands pressing the bridge with desperate determination. And then, so softly Elena almost missed it, a sound emerged. Not a word, but a vocalization. A small, broken noise from deep in Julia's throat. Elena froze, afraid to breathe. Julia's mouth opened again, and this time the sound was clearer. A syllable, struggling to form. It's okay," Elena whispered, her hand finding Julia's. "Take your time." The child's face scrunched with effort. "Mama." The word was barely audible, cracked and rough from 18 months of disuse. But it was a word, real and unmistakable and miraculous. Elena's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, sweetheart. Mama. You said mama." Julia looked terrified and amazed, her hand flying to her throat. Then she whispered it again, stronger. "Mama." The door burst open. Dante stood in the doorway, his face stricken. He'd been listening, monitoring through security cameras like he always did. "Julia?" His voice broke on her name. The little girl looked at her father, tears streaming, and spoke her second word in 18 months. "Papa?" Dante crossed the room in 3 strides, dropping to his knees and pulling his daughter into his arms. His shoulders shook with silent sobs, this powerful man completely undone by 2 words from his child's mouth. "You spoke," he whispered into her hair. "Baby girl, you spoke." Elena stood, giving them privacy, wiping at her own tears. She moved toward the door, but Dante's voice stopped her. "Stay, please." She turned to find him looking at her with gratitude and something deeper, something that had been building over 6 weeks of afternoons together. "You did this," Dante said, voice rough with emotion. "You gave my daughter back her voice. She did it herself. She just needed time to feel safe enough to try." Julia pulled back and reached for Elena. "Elena, stay." 2 words became 3, became 5. Over the next hour, Julia spoke in careful, halting sentences, her voice rusty but determined. She told them about missing her mother, about the nightmares, about being scared that if she talked, something bad would happen again. "Nothing bad will happen," Dante promised. "I won't let it, never again." That evening, Dante insisted Elena stay for dinner. It was the first time she'd remained beyond her usual session, and it felt significant. Julia chattered away with her newly freed voice, telling Elena stories about everything. "She hasn't talked this much in 18 months, Dante said quietly, watching his daughter with wonder. After dinner, Dante walked Elena to the door. "I don't know how to thank you. You've given me my daughter back. This is just the beginning. She'll have setbacks. Days where talking feels too hard. We need to be patient." "We," Dante repeated, his dark eyes intense on hers. "You said we." Elena realized what she'd revealed, that she'd stopped thinking of this as temporary. That we had come naturally, unconsciously. "I care about her," Elena said simply. "I want to see this through." "Just her?" The question hung between them, weighted with implications. Elena wasn't ready to examine. "I should go," she said instead of answering. "It's late." But as Vincent drove her home, Elena couldn't stop replaying Dante's question. "Just her?" "No," a voice whispered. Not just Julia, but admitting that felt like stepping off a cliff into darkness. The next morning, Elena's careful denial shattered completely. She was midway through her hospital shift when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stay away from the Moretti family. Final warning. Elena's hands went cold. Another text appeared immediately. Nice apartment in Pilsen. 3rd floor. Window faces the street. You should close your curtains. Someone knew where she lived. Had been watching her. Elena's phone slipped from her fingers, clattering on the tile floor. Fear flooded her system. She closed herself in a bathroom stall, hands shaking as she pulled up her recent calls and dialed the number Dante had programmed into her phone, labeled D, emergency only. He answered on the first ring. Elena, what's wrong? How did you know something was wrong? Because you're calling this number. What happened? Elena read him the texts, her voice surprisingly calm despite the fear. When she finished, silence stretched for several seconds. Where are you right now? Dante's voice had gone cold, controlled. Hospital, staff locker room. Don't leave the building. Vincent is already on his way with a security team. They'll be there in 15 minutes. Dante, I can't have armed guards showing up at my workplace. The hospital will deal with it, he interrupted. Your safety is not negotiable. Someone just threatened you because of your association with my family. That makes you my responsibility. I'm not your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment my daughter reached for you. The moment you walked into my home. The moment you decided to help us. His voice softened. Elena, please, let me protect you. I can't lose someone else I care about. Someone else I care about. The words settled in Elena's chest, warm and terrifying. Okay, she whispered. What do I need to do? Vincent arrived within 12 minutes with 3 other security personnel, all dressed appropriately for hospital visitors. He found Elena in the staff locker room, her supervisor already asking questions. Family emergency, Vincent said smoothly. Miss Rodriguez needs to leave immediately. The family emergency cover story held through security checks. Vincent ushered Elena into a black SUV with tinted windows, 2 more SUVs falling into formation behind them. Where are we going? Elena asked. The estate. Mr. Moretti wants you somewhere secure until we identify the threat and neutralize it. I can't just disappear from my life. I have bills to pay. An apartment, all of which will be handled. Mr. Moretti has already arranged for your rent to be paid, utilities covered. Your belongings are being packed and moved to the estate as we speak. Elena's temper flared. He can't just decide to move me without asking. You're someone he cares about, Vincent interrupted. And in Mr. Moretti's world, people he cares about get protected, whether they want it or not. The estate looked different this time. The beautiful facade unchanged. But now Elena noticed armed guards at every entrance, security cameras covering every angle, reinforced doors and bulletproof windows. This wasn't a home. It was a fortress. Dante met her at the door, his expression carefully controlled. Show me the texts. Elena handed him her phone. He read the messages, his jaw tightening, then passed the device to Vincent. Trace the number. I want to know who sent these within the hour. He turned back to Elena, his hand cupping her face gently. Did anyone follow you from your apartment this morning? Anyone unusual? I don't know. I wasn't looking. That ends now. From this point forward, you assume you're being watched. You don't go anywhere alone. Stop, Elena said, pulling back. Just stop. I appreciate your concern, but you can't make all my decisions. I'm not moving into your house. I'm not giving up my independence because someone sent threatening texts. Someone who knows where you live, Dante countered, voice rising. Someone who's been watching you. Someone who sees you as connected to me, which means they see you as either leverage or a target. Then I'll move to a different apartment, change my routine, be more careful. That's not enough. It has to be enough, because I won't live in a cage, even a gilded one. They stared at each other, wills clashing, neither willing to back down. Papa? A small voice interrupted. Julia stood in the doorway, her face worried. Why is Elena upset? Dante's expression immediately softened. He knelt to his daughter's level. Elena and I are just discussing some grown-up things, baby girl. Nothing for you to worry about. Julia walked past her father and took Elena's hand. You're staying, right? You promised you wouldn't leave. And there it was. The reason Elena couldn't walk away. This little girl who'd just found her voice would think Elena had abandoned her. "I'm not leaving," Elena said, squeezing Julia's hand. "Your papa and I just need to work some things out. But I promise, I'm not going anywhere." Dante's eyes met hers over his daughter's head, and Elena saw something shift in his expression. "Understanding. How about this?" Dante said slowly. "You stay here temporarily. Just until we figure out who sent the threats and deal with them. You'll have your own room, your own space. You're a guest, not a prisoner." It was a compromise. 1 week, Elena said. "I'll stay 1 week. Then we reassess. 2 weeks. These things take time. 10 days. Final offer." His mouth curved into an almost smile. 10 days. "And Elena, thank you. For staying, for helping Julia, for being brave enough not to run when most people would have." If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. That evening, Elena settled into a guest room larger than her entire apartment. Beautiful and comfortable and nothing like home. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Julia entered in her pajamas, a stuffed bear clutched in one hand. "Can I stay with you tonight? I had a bad dream, and Papa's in a meeting." Elena's heart melted. "Of course, sweetheart. Come here." The little girl climbed onto the enormous bed, curling against Elena's side. "I'm glad you're staying. I was scared you'd leave like Mama did." "Your Mama didn't leave on purpose. She would have stayed if she could. She loved you so much." "I know," Papa told me. Julia was quiet for a moment. "Do you like my Papa?" The question caught Elena off guard. "Of course I do. He's a good father." "No, I mean, do you like him? Like how Mama used to like him?" Elena's breath caught. "Your Papa and I are friends, and friends care about each other." "Good," Julia said, snuggling closer. "Because I think he likes you too. He smiles when you're here. He doesn't smile much anymore." Before Elena could respond, another knock sounded. Dante appeared in the doorway, his jacket removed, tie loosened, looking more human than Elena had ever seen him. "I thought I'd find you here," he said to Julia. "Having another nightmare?" "A little one, but Elena's helping." Dante's eyes met Elena's across the room, and something passed between them. Gratitude, connection, and that undeniable pull that had been building for weeks. "I'll let you both get some sleep," he said quietly. "Good night, baby girl. Good night, Elena." "Wait," Elena heard herself say. "Can we talk? After Julia falls asleep?" He nodded. "I'll be in my study. First door on the left." 20 minutes later, with Julia sleeping peacefully, Elena made her way downstairs. Dante's study was dark wood, leather chairs, bookshelves lined with volumes that looked actually read. He sat behind his desk, a glass of amber liquid, in his hand, going through security reports. "She okay?" he asked, when Elena entered. "Sleeping. She asked me if I liked you." That got his attention. Dante set down his glass and leaned back. "And what did you tell her?" "That we're friends. Are we?" Elena closed the door and moved deeper into the room. "I don't know what we are. I came here to help your daughter. That was supposed to be it. But now I'm living in your house, being protected by your security, having conversations that feel like more than just professional updates. Does that bother you?" "It scares me," Elena admitted. "Your world is dangerous. Your wife was killed because of it. And now someone is threatening me because I'm associated with you. I should be running, but you're not. No, because Julia needs me, and because," she stopped, struggling, "because I care. About her. About you. About this broken family that I somehow became part of." Dante stood, moving until he was standing in front of her. Close, enough to touch, though neither moved. "I don't do this," he said quietly. "I don't let people in. After Isabella died, I shut down everything except rage and the need for revenge. Julia was the only light left, and even with her, I was failing." His hand came up, fingers ghosting along Elena's cheek. "Then you showed up at the hospital looking exhausted and fierce, and so determined to help my daughter, and something in me that I thought was dead started waking up." Elena's breath hitched. "Dante, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not going to pressure you, but I need you to know that you're not just here because of Julia. You're here because the thought of something happening to you made me understand that I can't lose you too. The admission hung between them, vulnerable and honest. I don't know how to be in your world, Elena whispered. I don't know how to reconcile the man who plays tea party with his daughter, with the man who runs organized crime in Chicago. I'm both. The good and the bad. The father and the criminal. I won't lie to you about what I am or what I do, but I will protect you with everything I have. Elena looked up at him. This complicated, dangerous, tender man who'd somehow become essential. The smart choice was to maintain distance, protect her heart. But looking into his eyes, feeling the warmth of his hand, remembering Julia's small voice asking if she liked her papa, Elena realized the smart choice was already lost. 10 days, she said softly. We'll see where we are in 10 days. Dante's smile was slow and genuine, transforming his entire face. 10 days. And Elena, thank you for trusting me. I know I haven't earned it yet, but I will. The 10 days passed faster than Elena expected. She fell into a routine mornings working with Julia on speech exercises, afternoons in the garden, evenings in conversation with Dante that stretched long into the night. Julia's progress accelerated. The consistent presence allowed her to open up in new ways. She talked about her mother now, sharing memories both beautiful and painful. She described the night of the murder in halting, tear-filled sentences, while Elena held her. There were 3 men, Julia whispered one afternoon. Mama told me to hide. She was so brave. She yelled at them to leave, and then the loud noises started. Bang, bang, bang. So loud. Elena's eyes met Dante's across the room. His expression was carefully blank, but she could see the fury and anguish beneath. Vincent traced the threatening texts back to a burner phone, likely connected to Castellano remnants. Most of the family had been dismantled after Isabella's murder, but a few soldiers still operated on the fringes. We have 3 potential suspects, Vincent reported during a security briefing Elena overheard. Marco Castellano, the nephew, Angela Russo, who was married to one of the men you killed, and Tommy DeLuca, muscle for hire. Bring them, all in, Dante said coldly, quietly. I want to know who made the threat, and why now. Elena had backed away from the door, heart pounding. This was the world she'd stepped into, where threats were met with violence. She should have been horrified. Instead, she found herself standing in the doorway of Dante's office later that evening, watching him pore over security reports. You heard, he said without looking up. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I know. He finally met her eyes. And now you're wondering what kind of man you've gotten involved with. I already know what kind of man you are, Elena said, stepping in and closing the door. You're the kind who would burn the world down to protect his daughter. The kind who orders violence without hesitation when someone he cares about is threatened. She moved closer. You're also the kind who learned sign language at 45 because his daughter needs him to understand. The kind who sits through tea parties and doesn't complain. The kind who looks at me like I'm something precious. Dante stood, moving around the desk until he was in front of her. You see too much. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just finally seeing clearly. He reached for her, his hands framing her face gently. I don't want you involved in this. In the darkness. You're the light, Elena. For Julia and for me. I won't let my world taint that. You don't get to decide, Elena said softly. I'm already involved. The moment I received those texts, I became part of this. So don't protect me from the truth. Don't hide who you are. I need to know everything if I'm going to stay. If, Dante's voice roughened. Your 10 days are up tomorrow. Are you thinking about leaving? Elena's answer caught in her throat. Was she? Could she walk away from Julia, who still had nightmares? Could she walk away from Dante, who looked at her like she was air and light? I don't know, she admitted. Part of me wants to run. But another part. What? Dante pressed. What does that other part want? You, Elena whispered. It wants you. The admission hung between them for a heartbeat. Then Dante closed the distance, his mouth finding hers in a kiss both tender and desperate. Elena responded without thinking, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. This was madness. This was dangerous. This was everything she'd sworn to avoid. But it felt like coming home. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. Stay. Not for 10 days. Not temporarily. Stay and be part of this family. Be with me. I know I have no right to ask, but I'm asking anyway because I'm selfish and desperate and falling in love with you. Falling in love with you? The words detonated in Elena's chest. Dante. Her phone buzzed violently on the desk. Unknown number. Elena reached for it, but Dante caught her wrist. Don't. It could be, she answered anyway. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then a woman's voice, tight with fury. You think you're safe in his house? You think his guards can protect you forever? Who is this? Someone who's going to make you understand what it feels like to lose everything, the way I did when Dante Moretti murdered my husband. The line went dead. Elena's hands shook. It was a woman. She said, you murdered her husband. That she's going to make me understand what it feels like to lose everything. Dante was already moving, pulling up his phone, barking orders. Trace that call, now. And double security. Nobody gets in or out without my personal approval. Within minutes, the estate transformed into a fortress under siege. Guards appeared at every entrance, snipers positioned on the roof. Dante moved Julia's room to the reinforced safe room behind his master suite. We're staying together tonight, he told Elena. You, me, and Julia, all in the same place where I can protect you both. They set up in the safe room, reinforced walls, independent air supply, surveillance, monitors showing every angle, supplies to last a week if necessary. Julia, sensing the tension, clung to Elena. Are the bad men coming back? No, baby, Elena soothed. Your papa has very good guards. Nobody can hurt us here. But as hours stretched, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Vincent appeared on a monitor, his face grim. Dante pressed the intercom. Talk to me. We identified the caller, Angela Russo, like we suspected. Her husband was one of the 3 who killed Mrs. Moretti. You executed him personally after a 3-day interrogation. Dante's jaw tightened. Location? Unknown. The call bounced through multiple towers. But boss, her sister, works at Chicago Memorial, same floor as Miss Rodriguez. Elena's blood went cold. Maria. Oh God. Maria Russo. She's one of my closest friends at the hospital. I've known her for 3 years. She's been reporting your movements. Vincent continued. Every detail about your work with Julia. Angela's been planning this for months. Bring in Maria, Dante ordered. And find Angela before an explosion rocked the estate. Monitors showed flames erupting from the south entrance. Alarms screamed. Julia shrieked. Elena pulled the child close. They're breaching the perimeter. Vincent's voice crackled. Multiple hostiles. We're engaging now. The next hour was a nightmare of gunfire and chaos visible on the screens. Angela Russo had hired mercenaries who moved through Dante's defenses with military precision. How many? Dante demanded, weapon drawn, positioned between his family and the door. At least 15. Maybe more. Vincent's voice strained. Boss, we can hold them, but you need to be ready to evacuate if they breach the inner ring. Elena watched the monitors in horror as men fought and fell. This was real. This was happening. I need to do something, Elena said suddenly. Give me a phone. Let me call Angela. Absolutely not, Dante said immediately. She's doing this. Because of me. Because she thinks hurting me will hurt you the way you hurt her. Let me talk to her. Let me try to end this before more people die. No, I won't risk you. You're already risking me. Elena's voice rose. You're risking Julia, your men, everyone. If I can talk her down, there's no negotiating with grief like hers, Dante said flatly. I know because I felt it. After Isabella died, I would have burned Chicago to the ground. Angela won't stop until you're dead, or she is. Then let me try anyway. Please. Their eyes locked. Finally, Dante cursed and handed her a phone. 5 minutes. That's all. If she doesn't back down, we do this my way. Elena dialed the number. It rang twice. I was wondering if you'd call. Angela's voice came through. Calm. Ready to beg for your life? No, Elena said quietly. I'm calling to say I'm sorry for your loss. I know what it's like to lose someone you love. My sister died when I was 17. The pain never really goes away, does it? Silence. Then, don't you dare compare. I'm not comparing. I'm just acknowledging your pain. You loved your husband. He was taken from you violently. And you blame Dante Moretti. You're right too. He tortured Tony for 3 days before killing him. Because Tony helped murder his wife. Because Tony took away the mother of a 5-year-old girl who watched it happen and couldn't speak for 18 months. Isabella Moretti knew what she married into. We all did. Did Julia? Did that little girl choose this life? Does she deserve to lose everyone she loves because adults can't stop killing each other? Pause. When Angela spoke again, her voice was rougher. You don't understand. You're not one of us. You're just some nurse who stumbled into our world. You're right. I'm not one of you, but I love that little girl like she's my own. And I'm starting to love her father too, so I'm asking you. One woman to another, please don't do this. Don't make Julia watch more. People die. Gunfire in the background suggested Angela was close. Elena heard shouting, screams, chaos. It's too late, Angela said finally. I've already paid these men. They won't stop until the job's done. Then stop paying them. Call them off. Or better yet, let me meet you. Face to face. You want to hurt Dante through me? Fine, but do it directly. Don't hide behind hired guns. Elena, no, Dante growled beside her. But Angela was considering it. Elena could hear it in her silence. You'd do that? Angela asked slowly. You'd meet me knowing I want to kill you? If it ends this, if it saves the others, yes. The South Gardens. 5 minutes. Come alone or I shoot you on sight. The call disconnected. Dante grabbed Elena's arms, his face twisted with fear and fury. You're not going out there. I won't allow it. You don't get to allow or disallow, Elena said, pulling free. This is my choice. It's suicide. She'll kill you the moment you step outside. Maybe, or maybe, she'll finally have the confrontation she needs and this ends. Either way, I have to try. Why? Dante's voice cracked. Why would you risk yourself? Elena cupped his face. Because I love you. Because I love Julia. Because this family is mine now, and I'll protect it the only way I can by being brave enough to face the woman who wants to destroy it. She kissed him once, hard and desperate. Then she turned to Julia. Be brave, sweetheart. I'll be back soon. I promise. Before Dante could stop her, Elena unlocked the safe room door and stepped into the hallway. Vincent tried to intercept her. Miss Rodriguez, you can't. I'm meeting Angela Russo in the South Gardens. Alone. Dante knows. Let me through. The shocked security team parted, and Elena walked through the damaged mansion toward the gardens. She found Angela in the rose garden, now torn apart by combat. The woman was younger than Elena expected, maybe 35. With dark hair and eyes holding nothing but pain and rage. She held a gun pointed directly at Elena's chest. You came, Angela said, surprised. I said I would. You're either very stupid or very brave. Maybe both. Elena moved closer, ignoring the weapon. Will killing me bring your husband back? No. But it'll make Dante Moretti feel what I felt. Total, complete loss. And then what? He'll hunt you down and kill you like he killed Tony. More death. More grief. When does it stop, Angela? It stops when I decide it stops. Angela's hand shook, tears streaming. You don't understand. Tony and I were high school sweethearts. We had plans. We were going to leave this life, move to Arizona, start over. But the Castellanos pulled him back in for one last job. One last job, and now he's dead. I'm sorry, Elena whispered, meaning it. I'm so sorry. Your sorry doesn't fix anything. No, but neither does my death. Pull that trigger, and you'll have killed an innocent woman. Is that who Tony would want you to be? The question hit its mark. Angela's face crumpled, her arm wavering. I don't know what else to do. The pain won't stop. Every day I wake up and he's still gone, and I can't breathe without him. Elena took another step forward, close enough now to touch the gun's barrel. I know. God, I know that feeling. When my sister died, I wanted to die too. Some days I still do. But we keep living because that's what they'd want. Because every day we survive is a testament to how much we loved them. Slowly, carefully, Elena reached out and lowered Angela's arm. The woman didn't resist, too broken by grief to fight anymore. Let me help you, Elena said softly. Let me find you someone to talk to. Let me help you grieve without destroying yourself. Angela collapsed to her knees, sobbing. The gun fell into the grass. Elena knelt beside her, holding this woman who'd tried to kill her, letting her cry for all she'd lost. Behind them, Dante emerged from the mansion, Vincent and his team flanking him. They surrounded Angela quickly, professional and efficient, but Dante only had eyes for Elena. He crossed the garden in long strides and pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "Don't ever do that again," he whispered against her hair. "Don't ever risk yourself like that." "I can't. I won't survive losing you." "I'm okay," Elena assured him. "I'm right here." Dante pulled back just enough to kiss her, desperate and relieved and full of every emotion he usually kept locked away. When they separated, Vincent had Angela in custody, and the mercenaries had either fled or surrendered. The battle was over. "What do you want me to do with her?" Vincent asked. Dante looked at Elena, then at the broken woman. For a long moment, he was silent, the old Dante warring with something new. "Get her medical attention," he said finally, "then put her on a plane to Arizona with enough money to start over, on the condition she never returns to Chicago." Vincent's eyes widened. "Boss, do it. And find her a good therapist." After they'd taken Angela away, after Julia had been checked and settled into sleep, Dante and Elena stood together in what remained of the gardens. "You spared her," Elena said quietly. "Why?" "Because you were right. The cycle has to stop somewhere. And because—" he paused, taking her hand. "Because you've changed me, made me see there are other ways. You're making me a better man, Elena, a better father. You were always a good father, but not a good man. Not until you—" Elena looked up at him. "My 10 days are up." "They are. I should probably go back to my apartment. Get back to normal life." Dante's hand tightened on hers. "Is that what you want?" Elena thought about her tiny apartment, about lonely nights and exhausting shifts, and a life that had felt empty before a mob boss walked into her hospital carrying a mute daughter. She thought about Julia's trust, about watching a traumatized child find her voice. She thought about Dante's rare smiles, his careful tenderness, the way he looked at Elena like she was precious and essential. "No," she admitted. "That's not what I want. I want this. You, Julia, even the chaos and danger. I want all of it. Even knowing what I am, what I do, especially knowing, because I see all of you now, the good and the terrible, and I love it all." Dante's exhale was shaky. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not." Elena agreed with a small smile. "But you're stuck with me anyway." He kissed her again, soft and slow and full of promise. When they finally headed back inside, hand in hand, it felt like coming home. In the safe room, Julia was awake despite the late hour. "Elena, you came back." "I promised I would," Elena said, climbing onto the bed and pulling the little girl close. "And I always keep my promises." "Are you staying?" Julia asked, voice small and hopeful. "Forever?" Elena looked at Dante, who watched them with an expression of pure love and gratitude. She thought about all the reasons she should say no, all the logical arguments. Then she thought about how it felt to be part of this broken, healing family, how it felt to be loved by this dangerous man and his brave daughter. "Yes," Elena said firmly. "I'm staying forever." Julia's face split into a radiant smile. "Good. Because I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart." Dante joined them on the bed, his arms encircling both of them. "We're a family now, all of us. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Elena nodded, burrowing into his warmth while Julia snuggled against her. This wasn't the life she'd planned. It was dangerous and complicated and sometimes terrifying. But it was hers. They were hers. And that made everything worth it. Epilogue. 6 months later, Elena stood in the Chicago Memorial Hospital boardroom, presenting her proposal for a new pediatric trauma therapy program. The pilot would focus on children who'd witnessed violence, using innovative techniques combining traditional therapy with art and movement. The funding had come from an anonymous donor, though Elena knew exactly who'd signed the check. She drove home to the estate. She thought of it as home now. The guards waved her through with familiar smiles. The gardens had been fully restored, more beautiful than before. Inside, she found Dante and Julia in the kitchen, covered in flour and laughing. They were attempting to make cookies. "Elena!" Julia shrieked, running over with floury handprints. "We're making you a surprise." "I can see that," Elena said, surveying the chaos. "What kind of surprise?" "Cookies that look like hearts." Julia explained. Because Papa says he's going to ask you something important, and cookies are better than flowers. Elena's eyes shot to Dante, who looked sheepish and nervous. Julia, he said with mock sternness. What did we say about keeping secrets? That they're hard? Julia offered innocently. Dante set down the rolling pin and crossed to Elena. Well, since the surprise is ruined anyway. He dropped to one knee. Elena's breath caught. Julia bounced excitedly beside them. Elena Rodriguez, Dante said, voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. 6 months ago, you walked into my life and changed everything. You gave my daughter back her voice. You gave me back hope. You made me believe in family again, in love again. He pulled out a ring box. I know my world is complicated. I know there will be challenges. But I also know that I love you more than I thought possible. So I'm asking, will you marry me? Will you officially become part of this family you've already made whole? Elena looked at this man who'd started as a dangerous stranger and become her everything. She looked at Julia, practically vibrating with excitement. She thought about the life they'd built together, the healing they'd accomplished, the love that had grown in unexpected soil. Yes, she whispered. God, yes. Dante slipped the ring onto her finger, a beautiful antique setting with a single diamond. It fit perfectly. Julia launched herself at both of them, creating a group hug that nearly knocked them all over. They ended up on the kitchen floor, laughing and crying and holding each other while cookies burned in the oven. We're going to be a real family, Julia said, voice full of wonder. With a mama and papa and me. We already are a real family, Elena assured her. The wedding just makes it official. That night, after Julia had finally been convinced to go to sleep, Elena and Dante stood on the balcony overlooking the gardens. I can't believe this is my life, Elena murmured. 6 months ago I was working double shifts and barely making rent. Now I'm engaged to you, living in this beautiful house. Having second thoughts? Dante asked, though his tone was light. Not even for a second. Elena turned in his arms. But I do have a question. What happens? When people find out you're marrying a nurse? Won't that complicate things? Let them talk, Dante said firmly. You're not my weakness, Elena. You're my strength. Anyone who thinks otherwise will learn the truth soon enough. As if summoned, a small voice called from the doorway. I can't sleep. Can I stay with you? Always, Elena and Dante said in unison. Julia padded over and squeezed between them at the balcony railing. Look at all the stars. Mama used to say each star was someone watching over us who loved us. She was right, Dante said softly. Do you think Mama knows about Elena? Julia asked. Do you think she's happy we found her? Dante's arm tightened around Elena. I think your mama would love Elena just as much as we do, and I think she'd be very happy that we're not alone anymore. They stood there together, the three of them, looking up at the stars, a mob boss, a nurse, and a little girl who'd found her voice. A family built from trauma and healing, from darkness and light, from second chances and unlikely love. It wasn't a fairy tale. There would be challenges ahead. Dante's world didn't allow for simple happy endings. But it was real. It was theirs. And it was enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.